Paintings have the ability to cause all kinds of emotions, and this obviously includes fear. Some artists painted their deepest fears, while others simply wanted to frighten viewers for a wide range of reasons. During the Middle Ages, for example, paintings of hell were popular to instill fear into people's minds. At the end of the 19th century, painters started splashing the demons of their troubled minds onto the canvas. While I'm certainly not against a certain level of scariness in art, I do believe that some paintings in this list of scary paintings are just a bit over the top. In this video, you can enjoy some of the most terrifying works of art ever produced. Number 1. The Seven Deadly Sins and the Four Last Things by Hieronymus Bosch. This peculiar painting is one of several mysterious works of art by Hieronymus Bosch, a Dutch-born painter and contemporary of Leonardo da Vinci. You can see 4 small circles with representations of the 4 last things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. They surround a much larger circle with depictions that represent the 7 deadly sins: wrath, envy, greed, gluttony, sloth, lust, and pride. When you stare at the painting from a distance, you can see that the center represents the eye of God. The point of the painting, like most other works by Bosch, was to instill fear into the minds of everybody who looked at them. I tend to think that the painting featuring the eye of God staring back at the viewer and the vivid representation of hell did exactly that for people in the early 16th century. Number 2. Saturn Devouring His Son by Francisco Goya. This incredibly scary painting of a Greek myth by Spanish painter Francisco Goya is one of his 14 so-called black paintings. He originally painted these on the walls of his mansion called the Quinta del Sordo in the outskirts of Madrid, just to liven it up a little. This gruesome painting depicts the ancient god Saturn, who ate all of his newborn children because he feared a prophecy that one of them would overthrow him. His wife Ops became tired of this, and instead of giving him their 6th child Jupiter, she fed him a stone instead. The prophecy eventually became true as Jupiter overthrew his father Saturn as an adult. This work originally decorated the dining hall of Goya's house, but along with the other murals, it was transferred to the Prado Museum in Madrid in the 1870s. Number 3. The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli. When Swiss painter Henry Fuseli exhibited this painting at the exhibition of the Royal Academy in London in 1782, it left viewers in shock. It depicts a sleeping woman who isn't having the sweetest of dreams, as all the symbols relate to the nightmare she is experiencing. A male demon known as an incubus sits on top of her, and the dark horse known as a mare in German folklore looks at the scene with huge evil eyes. It's easy to understand why contemporary viewers probably didn't have the best sleep after they watched this work. Regardless, it instantly turned Fuseli into a renowned painter who found a niche in depicting supernatural events. Because of its success, he completed at least 2 more versions of the Nightmare. Several other painters produced similar works as well. Number 4. The Face of War by Salvador Dalí. The Spanish painter was one of the ultimate icons of the Surrealist art movement who devised several remarkable painting techniques. In short, his ultimate goal was to depict the images that the subconscious mind produces. He completed this painting shortly after the conclusion of the Spanish Civil War and at the start of the Second World War. A severed head with a fearsome look on its face is set against a barren desert landscape. Snakes bite it on all sides, and if you look closer, you can see that its eye sockets and mouth feature replicas of this scary image. Dalí claimed that the depiction of identical faces is infinite, which is probably a metaphor for the never-ending cycle of war. Number 5. The Triumph of Dead by Pieter Bruegel the Elder. What would happen when an army of skeletons suddenly started a war with the living? This unbelievably scary subject matter is exactly what Pieter Bruegel the Elder painted in this terrifying work of art. It's pretty clear that Bruegel was a fan of the work of Hieronymus Bosch, as this painting features a similar style. The skeletons are wreaking havoc wherever you look and leave behind a blackened landscape full of fire and destruction. Bruegel didn't discriminate as he painted peasants, workers, noblemen, and even a cardinal and king who are being slaughtered by the skeletons. In the background, rows of skeletons are seen cheering, a reference to the painting's title, The Triumph of Dead. Number 6. Massacre of the Innocents by Peter Paul Rubens. The already dramatic style of Flemish Baroque painter Pieter Rubens takes a scary turn in two of his paintings depicting the same subject. He completed the first version of the Massacre of the Innocents in 1609, which was about a year after he returned to his native Antwerp following an extended stay in Italy. It depicts the biblical story told in the Gospel of Matthew in which King Herod the Great of Judea orders the murder of all infant boys in Bethlehem. After all, it was foretold by the three kings that the new king of the Jews had been born, so he presumably didn't manage to come up with another solution. The second, equally dramatic version was painted during the final years of Rubens' life in 1638, and you can clearly see the difference in style. Number 7. Dante and Virgil by William-Adolphe Bouguereau. This painting by French academic painter Bouguereau depicts a scene from Dante's early 14th century work titled Divine Comedy. In this part of the narrative poem, the Italian writer tells the story of how he is being guided through hell by his guide Virgil. You can see that both men are checking out two damned souls who are infinitely fighting in hell. These were a heretic named Capoccio and a medieval knight and fraudster named Gianni Schicchi. Bouguereau was only 25 years old when he completed this work, but he did manage to win the prestigious Grand Prix of Rome with it. Perhaps the scary view of a medieval fraudster biting the neck of a heretic in hell was just a bit over the top for the jury. Number 8. Medusa by Caravaggio. Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio, better known as simply Caravaggio, was an influential master of the Baroque era. He painted this frightening image of Medusa in 1597, which was just before he achieved his artistic breakthrough. It depicts one of the three monstrous sisters from Greek mythology known as the Gorgons. To be more accurate, it depicts the moment that Medusa, who had snakes as hair, is killed by the demigod Perseus. Blood spouts from her severed head, and the intense realism of this painting makes it an especially scary sight to behold. What's interesting about this painting is that it's likely a self-portrait of the painter, something that highlights his strange fascination for violence. Number 9. The Last Judgment by Hans Memling. You already saw several paintings completed during the late Middle Ages, with the purpose of instilling fear into the minds of people. This painting by German-born painter Hans Memling isn't any different, as it depicts three panels representing the Last Judgment during the Second Coming of Christ. The central panel depicts Jesus Christ, who is in charge of the judgment on earth. The saved are being escorted to heaven by St. Peter in the left panel, while the damned souls are being sent straight to hell in the right panel. The damned souls are welcomed to hell by several hideous beasts, one of which might have served as an inspiration for Star Wars character Chewbacca. Number 10. Girl with Death Mask by Frida Kahlo. Mexican painter Frida Kahlo had a pretty depressing life and captured her sad life in her distinctive art. She suffered a severe accident as a teenager and had pain as a result throughout her life. This painting depicts a little girl who wears a death mask, a traditional item worn during Mexico's Day of the Dead. The girl wearing a skull mask is accompanied by a scary tiger's mask, a decorative item that hung in Kahlo's house at the time. The scary part is that Kahlo painted this following the death of her baby by miscarriage, and the marigold is a flower offered to a grave in Mexico. All these items serve as symbols of the cruel destiny of the little girl, something that plagued Kahlo throughout her life.